We've talked a lot about the MAGA civil war, but nothing has captured the frustration within Donald Trump's own base quite like what happened at CPAC. This was supposed to be a rally built around Trump, full of loyal supporters and allies ready to defend him and his administration. Yet even in that environment, it wasn't enough to stop backlash. There were boos, criticism, and even calls for impeachment, something especially striking given that this was an event meant to support him. Critics point out that Trump didn't even attend, suggesting he may have been wary of the reaction. What makes this moment even more significant is the divide within MAGA media itself. Some figures are still trying to defend and support Trump, while others are openly turning against him. That internal conflict is where the story really begins. Before even getting into the impeachment calls, his absence, and everything else surrounding the situation, Trump allies in mega panic over MAGA tearing itself apart. Conservatives have called for an end to their civil wars on face a midterm election blue wave. MAGA Republicans have called to an end to their civil war and begged the party to unite behind Donald Trump or face a blue wave at the midterm elections. As tensions escalate within Donald Trump's base, the president's allies have used the stage at the annual Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, in Texas to rally members to stick together. CPAC fellow and former Trump advisor Mercedes Schlapp urged the party to focus on Democrats, not one another. They love it when we're all fighting. Oh yeah, we do. When we're at each other's throats, when we call each other names, she warned, we have to stay united. Conservative influencer Benny Johnson invoked the attempted assassination against Donald Trump in 2024 as proof that God saved President Trump's life for this moment. The president, in turn, saved the country, Johnson argued, and deserved MAGA's undivided loyalty. And conservative commentator Michael Knowles, during a segment called "Why Can't We All Just Get Along?" "This is truly hysterical," told the conference. "We're heading into a very dangerous midterms, a very dangerous presidential election. The left literally wants to kill us," he said. And they've expressed this time and time again for months. Conservatives, we've got to get on the same program, unify, keep our eyes on the prize, and win, he said. The call to arms came as tensions over Iran, the Epstein files, cost of living pressures, and anti-Semitism have divided Trump's base in the second year of his administration. But with only months until November's midterms, the fractures are no longer confined to the fringe online spaces, but have spilled over into Congress, conservative media notably, and now the CPAC stage itself. The most visible rupture at this week's conference concerned Trump's foreign policy in the Middle East. As Trump opted not to attend CPAC for the first time in almost a decade to deal with the war, sure, some of his traditional allies, including former Congressman Matt Gaetz and former White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon, speak out against the war. So you have Matt Gaetz and Steve Bannon railing against Donald Trump as his allies in the conservative media, the corporate conservative media. Even if they are independent, they're still corporate. They're bought and paid for by corporate interest. These people are begging MAGA to just stay in line. And those people, Michael Knowles, Benny Johnson, Ben Shapiro, they are rapidly losing their audiences. People like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson. I dislike them as much as you do, but their audiences are growing because they're going after Donald Trump. Another great example of this is Candace Owens. People are incredibly dissatisfied with this administration, and so they are in all-out revolt. And you see it on the floor of CPAC before we saw the worst moment that concerned impeachment.
I think they would get destroyed in the midterms. I get the vibe. A lot of people I knew who just voted for Trump because they thought it was cool in like high school, or just now just being like, I can't stand the guy.
The argument being made is that these outcomes shouldn't come as a surprise to voters. Policies like those outlined in Project 2025 were openly discussed, including ideas such as mass deportations, and were repeatedly referenced during speeches by Donald Trump. Some supporters may feel misled, especially if they believed reassurances from figures like J.D. Vance about avoiding conflict with Iran. However, critics argue that Trump himself had signaled a more aggressive stance, meaning these developments align with what was previously communicated. What stands out now is the reaction. According to this perspective, parts of the MAGA base that once showed unwavering loyalty are now expressing frustration and demanding accountability, something that hasn't been as visible before.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. That was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. Can someone bring some coffee out for the...
Yeah, no,
I know. We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that?
There's growing frustration within the MAGA base, and moments like what happened at CPAC seem to highlight it. Even at an event built around Donald Trump and his supporters, there were reports of boos, criticism, and even calls for impeachment. Critics argue that this kind of reaction helps explain why Trump has limited some public appearances and avoided certain high-profile events, suggesting concern about how segments of his own base might respond. At the same time, there appears to be a growing divide within MAGA-aligned media. Some figures continue to strongly defend Trump, while others are becoming more critical. Voices like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens are often seen as more in tune with the base's current frustrations, even if their motivations are debated. Meanwhile, other commentators are viewed as increasingly disconnected from what many supporters are actually feeling. Another key point critics raise is accountability. Some argue that certain Republican figures, such as Lindsey Graham, are being blamed in order to deflect responsibility away from Trump himself. However, others maintain that ultimate responsibility lies with Trump as the decision-maker. Overall, this moment reflects a broader shift. Parts of the MAGA base that once showed unwavering loyalty are now expressing skepticism, frustration, and in some cases, demands for accountability. This internal divide is becoming more visible and may continue to shape the movement going forward. Thanks for watching, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.